people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news. Ow!
Okay, we'll start with this. The minimum weight title fight between the champion, Valle, and the challenger, Maria Santizo. A common opponent, yet another common opponent between Costa and Cenicia Estrada, the only other unified champion at this weight. Much like I predicted, much like I expected, Costa Valle won the fight. She won the fight, but she won the fight on points because Costa doesn't have the form, the same form and function that Cenicia Estrada has.
Cenicia's got that extra.
That X factor. Let's talk about what we saw. Maria Centizo got off to a decent enough start. Lots of aggression, lots of volume punching in the first round, but it was a clean sweep for Costa Valle thereafter. I had it 9-1 in favor of the champion.
Here's why.
Maria Santizo comes from a varied combat background, a student of more than one discipline, but in the sport of boxing, her mechanics are quite poor, often dropping that left hand,
Leaving her open for a right.
Costa Valle was teeing off with that right hand, that looping right hand. She couldn't miss with that punch.
It's because Maria, in dropping that left hand, left herself open for a right. Several rights.
Costa Valle was landing that right hand at will.
Yeah.
And what we saw in the fight is that Costa Valle's mechanics are a lot better than Maria Santizo's, even though Maria's a little taller and a little longer, plenty aggressive.
Yeah.
She's wide open for a lot of punches.
Yeah.
Looping rights over the top, left hands, left hooks, mid-range to inside.
Yeah.
Costa, throughout the course of the match, exhibited better balance and better footwork than Maria Santizo, though she didn't get her out of there in 4 rounds like Cenicia Estrada did.
Here's why.
While Costa Valle's mechanics are obviously better than Maria Santizo's, they're not better than Cenicia Estrada's. She's not as strong a puncher, not as sharp.
Well, that's the physical stuff.
In terms of mechanics, she punches a lot wider than Cenicia Estrada does. Her hooks are a lot wider.
She slaps with the hooks.
Combinations throughout the course of a match can become somewhat monotonous.
Repetitive and predictable.
Good enough to beat a Maria Santizo, good enough to beat her on points, though not nuanced enough to get her out of there.
Still very good. I mean, Costa Valle is a good fighter. She is a good fighter. Accomplished.
So I feel like the difference between Costa Valle and Cenicia Estrada is the difference you saw in the feature film Troy. It's the difference between Hector and Achilles.
It's that kind of deal.
Cenicia Estrada just has that extra, that indefinable quality that separates good fighters, really, really good fighters, from great fighters.
That's why even though Costa Valle dominated Maria Santizo, she wasn't able to get her out of there in just 4 rounds like Cenicia did. I said that she wouldn't.
She'll beat her. She'll beat her on points, and she did, but she won't knock her out.
I think Costa Valle has greatly improved over the years since enlisting the aid of Coach G, Gloria.
For what it's worth, outside of a Cenicia Estrada unification match for what would be the undisputed minimum weight championship, just outside of Cenicia, Costa Valle likely beats most, if not all of, the other minimum weights.
Still a very good fighter.
She put on a show against Maria Santizo, though I can hardly shout from the rooftops about it when Maria's already been knocked out by Cenicia Estrada. Ahead of this fight, she was coming off a points decision loss to Gabriela Fundora.
I felt Costa Valle would beat her, and she did beat her.
So if the goal of this match was who did it better comparison, who did it better kind of situation, because she didn't land on Maria Santizo by accident. She's a common opponent between her and Cenicia Estrada. If the goal was to outdo Cenicia, hard to say that she did that.
Cenicia stopped this broad in 4 rounds.
And that's not saying that Costa was underwhelming. That's just saying that I got what I expected. I expected Costa to outpoint her. She did that, but she wasn't able to knock her out because she's not the physical specimen that Cenicia Estrada is.
Very few fighters are.
But Costa did good. She did very good. She put on a show. She won in dominant fashion. She retained her 2 alphabet titles. My feelings haven't changed. If they make the fight between Cenicia And Yokasta, I've got Cenicia.
She's just got that extra.
That marriage between a really good physical specimen, and a damn good boxer.
That's what she is.
It's not taking anything away from Yokasta Valle. She's pretty darn good, too.
I just happen to think Cenicia beats her.
We then come to the main event of that same card, the William Zepeda versus Mercito Hesta lightweight contest. William, who is flying a bit low under the radar, I don't think this fighter is talked about enough. He is must-see TV.
618 punches thrown in just 6 rounds, landing 286 of those punches.
46%. That means this guy landed almost half the punches he threw. Incredible.
Mercito Hesta started off the fight bouncing around on the balls of his feet, trying to create space and set up counters.
As well as attempting to catch William Zepeda with counters in between the punches, in between the shots, that whenever William would catch up to him and pin him down, Mercito Hesta would try to catch and shoot. But there was just too much coming at him too often. William suffocated Mercito Hesta with activity, with volume, and great shot selection.
As I watched this fight, I just thought to myself, if Asthma wore boxing gloves, it'd be called William Zepeda, because much like Asthma, this guy doesn't let you breathe.
It's COPD in a boxing ring is what it is, because he suffocates his opponents. He suffocates them with volume, with activity, aggression.
Great feat.
For me and my money, a pressure fighter that is a cut above what you see in, say, an Isaac Cruz. They're both come forward, aggressive guys, but I feel like Williams got a lot more bells and whistles than Isaac does. Better mechanics, better fundamentals, and better shot selection.
As well as being able to cut off the ring, to catch up to a moving target.
Which is a big part of being a pressure fighter, and an elite level pressure fighter, is being able to keep the pressure on. Being able to stay on and stay on top of your quarry, your opponent. You saw in the fight, William Zepeda, he wouldn't let Mercito Hesta off the hook. He'd beat him from one end of the ring to the other. Very few answers from Mercito.
Though he showed a lot of toughness. I don't know how he survived some of these rounds.
Better still, at first glance, you can see that William is a pressure fighter. That is easy enough to identify. But he is a cut above an Isaac Cruz in the sense that he's got more variety in his punches. Punches downstairs, punches upstairs. Whereas Isaac's limited to haymakers, big looping punches due to his stature.
What Isaac is capable of is limited due to his stature. He's a small fighter, a very small fighter, even as far as lightweights go. Whereas William's got a little bit more size, a little bit more length, and better variety. Better shot selection, punches upstairs.
Hooks that sail around the guard, uppercuts that split it, punches downstairs, just around the elbow.
A dead center, between a guard.
I think they played a big role in breaking Mercito Hesta down. As he'd get pinned down on those ropes and go into a shell, you'd see William Zepeda regularly mixing in body shots with the combinations. Body shots that landed flush.
He took Mercito's legs away. He slowed him down.
You could see it was Mercito's intention to create space throughout the course of the fight, keep William Zepeda moving as to not allow him to set his feet.
Don't let him set his feet, because once he does, he's going to unload. Mercito Hesta tried to create space, but due to William cutting off the ring and limiting his exits,
in tandem with the volume of punches that was coming at him, it only took William Zepeda 6 rounds to break down and batter Mercito Hesta.
Body punches had a lot to do with that, I think.
Sounds easy enough to do, sounds like easy enough instruction, but not everybody does it. Not everybody makes that investment to go downstairs, go to the body. This guy likes to move around, take his legs away.
It's what separates decent pressure fighters from really good pressure fighters and elite pressure fighters.
You know, it's what separates guys like Isaac Cruz and Roman Villa from an Artur Beterbiev.
An elite pressure fighter with a good variety of punches. He don't just headhunt.
I think the same can be said for William Zepeda.
I also think William is better mid-range to inside than some other pressure fighters, Isaac Cruz included.
May be thinking to yourself, why the constant retrospect? Why the constant comparison between William and Isaac? And it's because they compete at the same weight. They're both Mexican nationals and they're both pressure fighters.
Though for me and my money, William has better fight mechanics, better fundamentals, and he's better on the inside.
Even though he comes forward just like Isaac comes forward and applies pressure, he's more defensively responsible than Isaac. Staying behind that guard, rolling and countering.
It's what makes the body shots possible.
Cutting angles, leaning off to the side to get punches in there.
It's what makes the body shots possible.
The uppercut's possible. He's not spending the entirety of a round or the entirety of a fight trying to land a single punch, a particular punch. He's got variety. He's got variety and tighter, shorter hooks, shorter punches than what you get from Isaac Cruz. Previous video, I talked about how a pressure fighter of a limited skill set, a pressure fighter with limited fundamentals, is basically a brawler.
Isaac is a brawler.
Whereas the pressure you get from William is more streamlined, more nuanced. I do wonder which one of the two is the stronger puncher, who packs the bigger wallop.
I wonder about that, though. In terms of fight mechanics, William is better by and large. They've both got a great set of lungs. They both have an engine, both William and Isaac.
Though William does seem a much better boxer to me than Isaac.
Most I can say about Isaac is he's durable. He's a brawler, but he is a durable brawler. He did go to distance with Javante, right?
Right.
So he's no Glass Joe. That much we know.
Though still lacking in so many other areas, that Isaac in many ways is a more talked about pressure fighter than William, but William is actually better at it.
Questions as to whether or not that reflects poorly on Golden Boy Promotions. Are they failing to push this fighter? Are they failing to really promote him?
I can't say in good conscience that it all falls on Golden Boy, that it all boils down to something that perhaps they're not doing, when the situation at lightweight has been political.
It has.
And it's been political for a long time. The top-ranked brand of lightweights versus the PBC brand of lightweights, and somewhere in the middle is everyone else. Somewhere in the middle are fighters like William Zepeda.
This guy's good.
I would go with William to overwhelm fighters like Maxie Hughes and George Kambosos. I'd go as far as saying that I'd go with William to beat Isaac.
Though, is he good enough for the upper echelon lightweights?
The bane, the Achilles heel for a pressure fighter, even a really good one like William Zepeda, is a really good counterpuncher. And not just a good counterpuncher, a counterpuncher that packs a wallop.
You need to have power, because if you can't get this guy's respect, you won't be able to keep him out.
You won't be able to keep him off. The bane for pressure fighters, even really good ones, are fighters that have good feet. In and out game with counters, and not just counters, but power. You have to be able to land with authority.
Because Marcito Hesta had decent feet and counters, but you see what happened to him.
Just wasn't enough on those shots to keep William off of him. Not enough on the punches.
Power.
You need power. You need movement and power.
Javante Davis has got both.
My only question is, what are the odds that you could put William Zepeda in the ring with Javante?
It's not like Williams got Ryan Garcia's drawing power. He doesn't. He doesn't provide that incentive.
That financial incentive in order to make a fight with him. He seems a high-risk, low-reward kind of guy right now.
So congratulations to him for a sensational performance this weekend.
After the fight, William Zepeda called out this division's undisputed champion, Devin Haney, saying, "I am ready for Devin Haney," which is natural. He's the man to beat. He's the one with all the belts.
It's not going to happen, though.
Devin's very next fight is at 140 pounds against that division's WBC champion, Regis Prograrius.
It's not likely that Devin returns to the men's lightweight division. I think he's outgrown it. I don't think it's a weight that's healthy for him to make.
I am ready for Devin Haney, Zepeda stated in perfect English after his 6th-round stoppage of Marcito Hesta this past Saturday on DAZN from the Commerce Casino in Commerce, California. Zepeda entered the bout ranked within the top 7 of all 4 major sanctioning bodies at lightweight, where Haney still holds all but the WBC title, previously undisputed. The still unified and lineal champion is actively in the process of finalizing a challenge of WBC junior welterweight titleist Regis Prograis for later this year. For now, Haney remains atop the division until other sanctioning bodies determine it's time for him to confirm his plans to either stay at lightweight or compete at junior welter.
The pressure that William Zepeda brings, I think if Devin still were competing as a lightweight and he were to share the ring with William, he'd give him a lot of problems, William would.
Because Devin is a pure boxer and William is a pressure fighter. He's a pressure guy. Pressure guys give pure boxers a lot of problems.
Pure boxer wants to fight at a controlled pace, long range, long distance, only 1 and 2 punches at a time.
That dichotomy, what we saw in the Shavkat Rakhimov versus Zelfa Barrett fight, what we saw in the Roman Villa versus Rashidi Ellis fight.
Pure boxers don't fare too well under pressure.
Now, until Devin's status changes, Zepeda and his team will continue to treat him as the reigning and available lightweight champion. We want to fight whoever's out there at 135. Jacob Pandamahar, Zepeda's trainer, said on behalf of the 27-year-old Mexican, he's ready for each and every one of them.
So which one is he gonna get?
Shakur Stevenson, Vasyl Lomachenko, George Kambosos, Jermaine Ortiz, they're over there on the top-ranked side of things. Frank Martin,
Isaac Cruz, Gervonta Davis, they're with the PBC.
Devin Haney is the champion right now, so we would like to fight him. Should Haney opt to give up his other titles, Gervonta Davis would be upgraded to full WBA titleist from his current regular title status. Zepeda is ranked number 2 by way of the WBA, one spot below countryman and Mexico City native Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who is in pursuit of a rematch versus Davis, against whom he dropped a December 2021 decision. Zepeda could also advance to the top of the WBC rankings by year's end. The winner of Stevenson versus De Los Santos will move up to full champion status.
I told you, 135 is political. There's a lot of good fighters there, but they're on different sides of the street. And that determines what fights happen and what fights don't.
Guess guys like Maxie Hughes, George Kambosos, I'd give William Zepeda reasonable odds to steamroll those guys the same way he just steamrolled Mercito Hesta.
And even against a pure boxer like Devin Haney, if Devin were still campaigning as a lightweight, William and his volume, his aggression, he could give Devin a lot of problems and a pure boxer like him.
This is not a blown-up featherweight, a guy who used to campaign as a featherweight or a super featherweight, like what Devin faced in Vasyl Lomachenko. This is a big lightweight, an aggressive, strong lightweight.
And you need to be strong to keep him off.
The idea that you're only going to throw 1 and 2 punches at a time, working off the counter, and keep this kind of guy off of you?
No way.
You need a fighter like Gervonta Davis, or even Teofimo Lopez, who's now campaigning at 140 pounds. You need these kinds of counter-punchers, strong ones, that use the other fighter's aggression against them. The way that Gervonta Davis did with Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. The way that Teofimo Lopez did very recently against the much bigger, taller Josh Taylor.
He used his aggression against him,
shifting his weight onto his back foot to set up counter punches, because Josh Taylor, he's an aggressive guy. You don't have to go out there and find him.
He'll find you.
When he does, you land a hard counter, stun him, and step into your own shots, step into your own punches. These are the kind of guys that William would have to be careful with.
Kind of guys to where it's not a good idea to open up as much as William does in a round.
Not against a boxer puncher, a counter puncher, a strong one.
Bad idea.
But against a pure boxer like Devin, who's really not a hard puncher, and he doesn't throw that many punches in a round anyway, at least not characteristically.
Bad style matchup for the pure boxer.
Though, unfortunately for William, we're not going to get to see him share the ring with the likes of Devin Haney, and there's a big question as to how exactly is Golden Boy going to get him some good fights, meaningful ones.
How?
Given what side of the street he's on. He's must-see TV whenever he is fighting, but how are they going to get him the big fights?